We are back with another episode of Daily Vibes with Emily. Here with me today is the man who can conquer the football field, the broadcasting world, and everything in between, Nate Burleson. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing, Emily?
I'm great.
Good.
So, Nate, your dad growing up played professional football in Canada. You have two brothers who became athletes, and you played 11 years in the NFL as a wide receiver. What was your father feeding you? No, I'm joking. No, but seriously, how much of an influence was it on you and your brothers growing up and becoming an athlete?
Nah, he was feeding us whatever he can get his hands on. That's for sure. But when you grow up in a household with four boys, it's competitive, man. And I think more than anything, he fed us the spirit of competition. You know, I first started playing sports because my brothers were playing it, my friends were playing it, and you wouldn't really look at me as a kid and think that I was going to be something special. But I knew one thing for sure is that like I was going to soak up knowledge from my pops, my brothers, and then apply it to the field. And then like one day I woke up and I just felt like I was just as good as everybody. And then a few years later, I woke up and I felt like I was a little bit better than everybody. And then a few years after that, I was in the NFL. So more than anything, growing up in a household with four boys, my dad being competitive and encouraging it, like boxing gloves in the living room, go outside if you want to finish the game. There has to be a winner, keep score, like all these little things that now I appreciate as a father, especially a father raising two boys. I just love the fact that my dad didn't shy away from competition in the house.
You just mentioned your two boys. Would you want your kids following your footsteps?
Yeah, I do. You know, there's a lot of football players that say, I don't want my son playing football at all, which I get and I understand. You know, if football was that bad on your body where you don't want your son to have any injuries or even CTE, I get it. All that stuff is real. But for me, I would love my sons to follow my footsteps for the simple fact that playing a team sport will make you a more well-rounded person. So if my son or my daughter, I got 3 kids. So if any of them came to me and said, I want to stop playing sports because I don't like it, I would tell them to continue to play sports, not because I want them to be a professional like their father. I want them to learn how to coexist with other people, because the biggest lesson you can have is learning how to compensate. You know, whether you're playing an individual sport like golf or tennis or track, or you're playing a team-oriented sport like basketball, football, or baseball, you still learn how to coexist, whether it's with you, with your teammate, you with the opposition, you with your coach. And that helps because when sports dry up and you're done, like you have to walk into the real world and you have to be able to coexist. And what you learn as an adult, and Emily, you know this, we've talked about this, some people just can't coexist, which is why they struggle to really transition out of high school or college.
Right. And piggybacking off of that, was there something that you learned being an athlete that you apply now as your job as a TV personality?
For sure. Yeah, there were times in my career where I was the man and I felt like, you know, I'm the most important piece to the puzzle. And that applies to TV or being a TV personality when the spotlight is on me, or the producer says, all right, Nate, it's your turn to talk. Or if there's a moment in the show and I feel like they need some juice right now, I'm going to provide that Nate Burleson spark. Or I could be sitting, you know, doing an interview with a celebrity like J-Lo, and I know I have to present just as much swagger and confidence and that energy and that sauce that she does. So being a number one, like being an alpha on the field, all of that applies. But on the flip side, I think the more important thing that I've learned playing sports that I apply to being a TV personality is sometimes you just gotta play second fiddle. You know, I've been a number two. I've been a guy who came off the bench. I've been a guy who a team wasn't checking for. So I knew how to swallow my ego and just play Robin to somebody else's Batman, which for athletes, egotistical athletes, professional athletes, that's tough at times to say, you know what, I'm not the man right now, so let me just play supporting actor. Once I was able to do that on the field, it made it easy to do it in real life. So when somebody else on the set, another host, or we're bringing in a guest, and it's time for them to shine. I know how to make it about them and not me, which we see all the time, whether it's a TV personality, radio personality, they get so caught up with trying to be the star while another star is on that all you see is just this pissing contest between two people on TV rather than the host or the analyst just taking a step back and playing the compliment to somebody else's stardom.
Definitely, it becomes a power struggle.
That's it. Yeah. And people notice that stuff. Like, that's why, like, some people will say, oh, I like this show because it's easy going. And I feel like I can sit on the couch with them. I just feel like I'm part of the crew. And they say that a lot about Good Morning Football because we have that air about us. But on the flip side, they'll complain about other shows and be like, I don't know. I don't like that energy. And I don't like them yelling at each other. And I just feel like it's always about them and not the point they're trying to make. And I kind of just nod at it because I understand exactly what they see.
And if we're being totally honest, I grew up playing tennis, and tennis, you can play singles or doubles. But what I hated about doubles was that you have to share the court. You have another person on the team. It's not all about you. And I like that in a sport, I could hold myself accountable for it. So in tennis, you have a bad day, you're not blaming your partner because it's just you.
On you.
That's something you don't get in football or basketball or many other sports.
No doubt about it. And it's real because, there's a lot of athletes that have that same type of energy in team sports. And if you talk to some athletes that are described as divas, and you ask them about the origins of why they feel a certain way, it's because at one point in time, like, it was all about them. And listen, there's nothing wrong with that because you have to be selfish in life to be successful. And I know that seems like a very generic statement, but it's not blanketed over everything. Like, I'm not saying be a selfish person. There's a difference. I'm saying be selfish in the sense that there's going to be times where you have to control the narrative and make it about you in order to make the situation better. There's times where I'm on TV or I'm on the radio or I'm doing a show and I feel like I got to do a little bit extra just to sell it. And that's okay. Just like athletes do it all. It's the equivalent of saying, there's 10 seconds left, coach, give me the ball.
And at what point in your career did you decide that you wanted to go into broadcasting?
I dibble dabbled in it when I was playing. I did radio shows. I also, I did TV shows. I remember in Detroit, they were like, hey, Nate, we want you to do this weekly show. It's about 30 minutes. It's not much heavy lifting, but you interview a player. So we'll find a player or you can get a player every week. And it was cool because these were like my legit brothers. Like, I would just be like, hey, yo, come with me to do the interview. And I'm still playing at this point. So they were kind of like, all right, you're not media, but it's not going to be some hard hitting journalism. So they would come in and sit down and I ask them some thought provoking questions and I'd be funny. And then at the end, I've kind of asked them a question like, if you could, if you had only one thing that you could say to yourself at a younger age, what would you say? I would ask them like one thought-provoking question at the end. So like I did this every week and I got some big gets. Like it was like Calvin Johnson, Matt Stafford, and Ndamukong Suh. Like all of our big dogs get a coach because they all respected me. And then at the end, I was like, look, I'm not trying to turn this into some type of like Michael Bay Transformers film, but like you guys do like a split screen of me interviewing myself. And they were like, Nate, that's a crazy idea. Like, what made you think of that? I was like, I don't know. I interviewed every popular guy on the team, but I feel like this is my last year as a Detroit Lion. I want to have a really intimate conversation with myself about the future. And they were like, holy shit, like that's crazy. So they did it split screen. I would ask a question, then I would change my outfit and I would answer the question. And then they spliced it together and it literally looked like I was interviewing my twin. So I did all this and we won a regional Emmy. Like we won an Emmy, like a legit Emmy. There's the national one and then there's the regional ones. And I didn't know what it took to win an Emmy. So when I won it, I was like, holy smokes, this is crazy. So I think winning that's when I was like, yo, I might want to go into TV. Like I was casually doing it as an athlete for however long the season was, 17 weeks. And I won an Emmy. And this was something that I would give, 75, 80% effort into. And then I went to the broadcast boot camp. And that's when they kind of just chiseled away at me, and they kind of cut out all the fat, and they were like, all right, look, you're good on TV, but you're cliche driven, just like every athlete, and you're clever when you write, but you write a lot about you, and you're slick with your words, but you say I think a lot. You don't need to tell us what you're thinking because you're saying it. So be decisive when you say it. And I'm like, okay. So they broke me down, all the while telling me I was the standout in this broadcast boot camp. So like, imagine thousands of people apply for this broadcast boot camp. 30 or 40 make it, and you have to enter in, and you have to give them a fee. And the NFL just basically tucks you away for like 3 days. You're working 10 hours. You're doing everything from like listening to people lecture you to live news hits on the local news. I think we're in Pennsylvania or something like that. So like, I went through this, and I got a pat on the back, but also like a kick in the butt, where they're like, you're good, but you got so much to work on. You're the standout in this boot camp, but I mean, you're so far away from being a legitimate TV personality. And this was about 2 years before I retired. And at that point, I had a decision to make: BS and act like retirement wasn't around the corner, act like my body wasn't falling apart, and these injuries weren't piling up, and my drive to be the best receiver in the world wasn't fading, which all that was true. Or I can start to plan for the future. And I think that's when so like right around year 9, when all that happened, I was like, you know what? I think I might go into TV after I'm done playing.
And Good Morning Football probably comes so easy to you being a former athlete, but then you have to transition from Good Morning Football to Extra, which is 2 different realms. What do you find the most difficult thing when you transition between a football conversation to like celebrity and the new hot story? What's the biggest trend? How do you transition?
Yeah. Good Morning Football it wasn't easy. It was easy to talk about football. When they said, Nate, talk about this play, go. I was money, but I've never read the teleprompter like I do now. And I didn't really know like the art of bringing somebody in from the commercial break, or even going to a commercial. And I remember one of my mentors, when I was working in LA previous to taking the Good Morning Football job, they were like, yo, pay attention to the host. And I did, but I didn't do it as much as I should. So once I got to New York, everything I did where there was a really good host, I would pay attention to. I would like mimic their movements and their eyes, and I would like try to mouth the teleprompter and match it to the speed that they're doing it. I do it a lot with James Brown on my CBS show. But like back then, I don't know, like even if you look back at our earlier shows, like the way I was reading, I was like, hey, what's up? This is Nate Burleson. And right now I'm going to tell you about what happened in the game. And it's like, it was nerve wracking to me. Like, I'm a good reader, but not too many of us read out loud in front of the world on live TV with no retakes. So that was nerve wracking. And waking up at 4 a.m. Those are the 2 things, the teleprompter and waking up in the morning. 2 things I struggle with Good Morning Football. I don't so much anymore. But as far as your question, the biggest difference, it's setting aside my ego that I felt like I've earned. Like, here's the thing about athletes, and Emily, you know this. When you're good at something, you feel like you earn the right to be a little bit cocky, earn the right to be a little bit confident. And you straddle the line between overconfident and confident. So like, I can walk into a space, a radio show, any sports show, and people like show me love. Like, yo, this is a professional athlete. He did it for 11 years. He grew up playing every sport. He had scholarship offers for every sport. So he has a brother that coaches in the NBA, played in the NBA. So let's show him some respect. He knows more about sports than most people. So let's give him that respect. And I feel like I earned that. Not that I'm going to be mad if you don't give me that respect. I'm not asking you to bow down or kiss the ring. I'm just saying I've earned that right. And in entertainment, nobody cares. Who cares? And it could be me interviewing a D-list singer who literally had one song and a viral dance on TikTok, and I have to do my job and almost in a sense bow down and kiss the ring. Yeah, I can't be too cool for school. I can't be like, what's up, man? You want to do the interview? Because that doesn't translate. Like I have to be as excited about the person I'm interviewing as the people at home are. So like, that's the biggest struggle. It's one thing to like meet Gaga or like Denzel or like Timberlake or J-Lo, like Pacino, De Niro. Like I meet them, it's like, oh snaps, like what's up? Like, you know what I mean? How you doing? That's where like I check myself. But when I'm talking to some kid or some like C or D-list celebrity, and like they're looking at me crazy, and then they got assistants that are talking to me crazy because they have no idea who I am, and who cares? Like they shouldn't. That's where I have to like literally like calm myself, like woosah, and be like, you know what, Nate, you're here to do a job. Do your job as good as you can, and don't worry about the fact that these people are treating you like you're just some Joe Schmo.
The difference, I think, between being the athlete and the broadcaster is that as an athlete, you're sharing your story. And then as a broadcaster, you're sharing someone else's story.
Yep.
You have to be the storyteller, not the story giver.
Yep. No doubt about it. That's smart. I mean, listen, Emily, you know your stuff. You got some good people in your corner teaching you the right things. For me, I look at it like this. If you take whatever you're covering, from entertainment to sports, the story is like a coloring book, like that, and that's what people go. They go to the store and they buy the coloring book. It's what sits on your shelf as a kid. It's what draws you in. It's the most exciting part. It's the book. The book gets you. We are the crayons. Like we are the colored pencils. We are the markers. We're the paint. Now, if you do it haphazardly and you kind of bullshit your way through an interview or a show, you're drawing outside the lines, you're sloppy, the shading isn't correct. It takes away from the image. The image is still there and still strong, but it takes away. It's almost like, they could have done without you. They could have done without the coloring. I mean, black and white was fine before you messed it up. But here's the good thing about being the crayon. If you do it right, you're inside the lines perfectly. I mean, you nail the colors. I mean, from the face to the background, the flowers, everything just pops. It pops. People are going to appreciate how colorful the picture is now versus what it once was. So we are not the photo, we are not the picture, we are the enhancement. So that's the way I look at it. Like I'm the crayon, you're bringing in the crayon. And sometimes you can color something so good that you're complimenting how beautiful the coloring is versus the actual image. And that's when you take it to another level where you sit down with somebody that is of higher status than you, a bigger celebrity than you. They're more renowned, but they complement the interview versus who you were interviewing. That's the key.
Has anyone ever told you that you are great at giving metaphors?
I've heard that a time or two, and I got to be honest, I learned it from hip hop. That's what hip hop is. It's like metaphors and similes. I do this like this. And that's all I heard since I was a youngster. And on top of that, I think my love for cartoons and hip hop has made me like one of the top media personalities. I wish I could point to some book and be like, yeah, this book back here, it really changed my life. I read a lot and I do learn from the books that I read, but really it's art, because cartoons are just still images that somebody decided to consecutively speed up and put great color and sound to it, which is what I do. I put color and sound to everything. And then like rap is like, there's a rhythm in hip hop. It's poetry. So like, if you don't approach, like, forget about what we do. Let's talk about life in general. If you don't approach every day with some type of rhythm, then I feel like you're not living in the space you're supposed to live in. Like with life without rhythm is dull. So like every day has to have a certain rhythm to it. You know what I mean? Like if your life was a song, would anybody want to listen to it?
Ooh, that's deep. So Nate, or should I call you New Balance? When did you start to rap?
Um, when I was like 7 years old. This is way before your time. We used to have like a radio, a boom box, and it had like 2 cassette tape players on it. And you can like play one and then you can record on another, and you can actually speak into this like open microphone on the radio. And I would play one that had an instrumental, and then I would hit the record on another one, and I would like rap, and I would dub this tape, and I would listen to the tape over and over again. And it was just me putting words together. I was always fascinated with hip hop. Always. It was something that was so cool to me. And I feel like rappers don't get enough credit. Now there's a bunch of rappers that don't talk about anything. They just be rhyming words. But I'm talking about the real poets though. Like that, it's the dopest thing to me. So I fell in love with hip hop when I was a youngster, man.
Is there a specific artist that inspired you?
A lot of East Coast artists. Being a Seattle guy, I fell in love with the East Coast vibe, like the Timberlands with the bubble jackets and the hats down low. And, you know, the Jay-Z's, the Nas's, Tupac, of course, being a West Coast guy. But yeah, it was always the guys that said something that made you think. You know, I'm the guy that listens to a song and I'm like, "Ooh, what did he say?" And I rewind it and I listen to it again. Like that's dope to me, man. Like that's fire. That's what motivates me to write. I'm always writing because of that.
Should we be expecting an album soon?
Yeah. You probably should. Like I'm definitely gonna drop a single this year. I told myself 2021, I gotta drop something. I'm putting together a song right now with the artist, a well-known artist in New York. He's one of the more respected lyricists in New York. So we'll put something together. You know, I've been writing. I can give you a little sample to see if I can remember some of it.
Yes.
I'll say it slowly because I don't have the beat with me, but it's called Meant to Be. So the way I penned it was like I just wanted to write something that was like meant to be. You can apply it to any sport. You can also apply it to like the streets. You can also apply it to the corporate world. Like it's just meant to be. Like if it's meant to be, go get it. Kind of meant to be. All right. So, and I'll say it more like a poem right now, because that way you can kind of get what I'm saying. Because this is meant to be. These long nights and early mornings, all this blood, sweat, and tears pouring while you laid out snoring. Stay asleep. I don't want to hear a peep. Just know we came to kill the game so you can rest in peace. Now you see everything I'm made of. All the haters' motivation. Thank you for the favors. We gonna eat. Because game time means it's dinner time. No more 2020, but I'm gonna see the finish line. Because if I don't, then it's a wrap. I want it all in my hands like Thanos with the snap. Or more like Bane with his mask on. I'm only here to tear up your turf until the grass gone. Be a legend or be forgotten. There's a Hall of Fame that you know you deserve a spot. No other option. Moving solo or if I'm 50 deep. I aim high with J.R. Ryder. There's no denying this was meant to be. That was it.
Nate, you never cease to amaze me. Never.
I'm always full of surprises.
Speaking of surprises, I follow you on Instagram and you always do these giveaways and you're always working on something new. So what is the latest project you're working on that we should be seeing soon?
Speaking of surprises, look at you, girl. Oh, you nice with it. I like to give away stuff. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed. I'm blessed beyond measure. I've made enough in this lifetime to take care of myself, take care of my family. I'm working on taking care of my kids' kids. That's the next layer to it. So I'm a minimalist. I'm a minimalist by nature, but I exhibit habits of a materialistic man. So that's who I am. Like I know myself. Like I like to see the fruits of my labor in front of me. Not really with like fancy cars and crazy houses. I like sneakers, occasional jewelry purchase that I can pass along to my kids as valuable heirlooms. But I say all that to say this. When I do these things, I feel an obligation to give. Now, my entire life, you ask anybody that knows me, I've always been a giver. I got money out in the streets, as we like to say in the hood. Like, I got money out in the streets, but some people would be like, bro, you got money out in the streets? That's disrespect. People owe you money. They do. Like tens of thousands of dollars that I done gave away, expected back. The other person hit hard times, and I'm just like, all right, you can have it. I've never given people tickets, expected the money back for games that they went to. I've never given money to friends or family and expected it back. I feel like God blessed me to be an earner in this lifestyle, not to be a debt collector. So if I feel like I'm an earner, that no matter how much I give, I will always be able to earn that back. To bring it all full circle, 2021, I want to give more than I receive, which is tough for me. So that's a challenge. I get stuff in the mail all the time. Big brands sending me crazy stuff. So I start to feel really guilty because I'm like, man, they're giving me this stuff because I have a big platform and they want me to post about it. So I told myself, all right, when you get something, you receive something, you have to give something. And if it's not from Microsoft, who sent me some Surfaces to give away, or LG Mobile, who sent me these really cool phones to give away, I'm pulling stuff straight from my house. And the goal is in December to give away a car. That's my goal. So I want to give away something every month. And this isn't like I don't have a foundation I'm doing it under or some app that I'm doing it under. I could, but this is more it's just from Nate, you know? So that's kind of why I give so much and expect more of it.
I love that's so generous, Nate. Wow.
Yeah, I just feel like listen, I'm in a position right now where I'm extremely blessed. The most humbling thing that I feel like 2020 was the most humbling year I've ever had. And I say that because I was caught between a rock and a hard place, being thankful for the jobs that I have, being able to work like multiple jobs. Like there's days where I would run off like 4 jobs. I go from Good Morning Football to Extra, come home, record some stuff for a podcast, and then I go record some stuff for DraftKings. And I still have time to like be with my family, go to like basketball game or football practice. I'm like, yo, I'm like, forget about the American dream. Like this is whatever is beyond the American dream. Like I've accomplished it, but this is crazy. So I'm sitting back like feeling so thankful for 2020. But on the flip side, my heart is aching for the people that are losing family members, losing jobs, the social injustice in the streets. Like 2020 was tough. So for me, I'm like, all right, so like, identify that feeling, that emotion. What is it? Is it a humility? Is that you're humbled? Is it that you're thankful? Is it that you're sad? Is it that you're hyper aware of your surroundings and what people are going through? And I just collected all these emotions, and I asked myself going into 2020, all right, so what are you gonna do with those emotions? And basically all I was telling myself was, that just means you have to give more. If there's something inside of you that feels a little bit guilty about your blessings because other people are hurting, try to ease their pain. And that's what I'm gonna do with the way I give.
That is incredible. And it's so refreshing to see somebody with a platform like yours and you use that platform to give back.
I try. I have to, man. You know, it's like, think about it. People see me all the time. I occasionally post from the crib and they're like, damn, Nate, you got this. People, you know how it is. It's a social media driven world. I could post a picture. Somebody might magnify the background 1,000 times and be like, wait a minute, what is that? Is that a gold pair of shoes? Like, you never know what people notice in the background. So I'm like, all right, if I'm gonna be open with my life and be very transparent about how I'm living, then these next few months and this next year is going to be based around giving. Like, I just want to give. I really do. And the goal is to eventually, like, downsize, like tremendously, like a lot. You know, I can already see myself, like outgrowing the things that I used to find so cool. I love shoes. I'm like a collector now. So it's like I buy them as art. But like also I don't wear all of them. You know, it's just I just buy them just because, you know, I really like a particular pair of shoes for a specific reason. Um, having a large home, sometimes I'm just like, it's too big, you know. It sounds crazy, and I know this is first world problems for people that are like, oh wow, Nate, I really feel bad for you. But I'm just saying, like, eventually my goal is to like be on a farm, some water in the back, and have some animals I'm raising on some really chill shit. So that's the vibe I'm on. But I got to get there first. And I also know who I am right now. I said it at the beginning of this. I know what I like. I make a lot of money. I like to spend money. So if I like to spend money, spend it on yourself and also the people that follow you. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
It's amazing. And transparency is key. A lot of times social media portrays people in a way that they're not true to themselves, they're lying to others. So to see somebody that is transparent and worked hard and earned what they have and uses it to give back, it's amazing.
No doubt about it. Well, listen, I want to flip this interview and ask you some questions. I didn't write anything down, but you know I'm always ready, Emily. So let me ask you this. You have been making some moves as of lately, right? You are very goal-oriented. You are one of the most talented young minds in the business. There's a reason I didn't say young women in the business, because it doesn't matter your gender. You are as talented as anybody out there. As of the recent elevation in your brand, what would you say is the next step for Emily?
You know, after speaking with people like you and having mentors like you kind of guide me down the right path, I would like to follow in your footsteps. Obviously, my tennis wasn't as successful as your football, probably because I'm a sore loser and didn't want to pursue it as a career. But I definitely do want to find myself, hopefully down the line in your shoes, finding myself on a Good Morning Football or an NBA post-game show, halftime show, ESPN, TNT. I want to be like you, Nate.
Okay, I can dig that. I can dig that. So is the goal ultimately to be a host, or is it to be an analyst? Because what we've seen over the last couple of years, the doors have been opened up to women, not just coming in and driving the car and moderating the conversation, but adding elements to these shows as analysts. Where do you find your comfort in? Because me, before you answer the question, I realized that I'm good as an analyst. Like I'm good. I can do that. I can do that for a long time. But what challenges me and what I find more joy in is hosting. I enjoy having the steering wheel in front of me. I enjoy looking at everybody on the show and saying, buckle up, let's get ready for a wild ride. Like I like to steer the ship. So like, what makes you comfortable as a TV personality?
I would have to agree with you and say that the hosting part is more of my kind of vibe. I love interviewing talented people like you. I like coming up with my own content. I like contributing to others' content a lot more than like analyzing pre-existing content, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No
and
doubt.
I like being a storyteller. I definitely do. I think it's really fun. I think it's nice to get to know people. It's nice to bring out maybe new information people haven't heard before. And that's what I think is super fun. Like, we're both very social people. I love talking to people. So if I could talk to people for a living, it's like, come on, it doesn't get better than that.
You're right. Hey, trust me, I feel you. I'm living it. All right, so this is the last question, and then I can let you get the back. So you've had some success, not as a traditional media personality, but almost as an influencer, right? Because you've had some viral moments, as we like to call them. My question is, why in the hell haven't I been in one of these viral clips?
So if you don't remember, the first time I met you, I said, Nate, why are you not on TikTok? You would kill it like everything else, and you should be on TikTok and we will collab. You don't remember that conversation.
I do remember it. I do remember it. We just haven't figured out a way to get that popping. I downloaded TikTok is sitting on my phone. I'm ready to rock and roll.
Okay, so that will be our next mission.
All right, that's the next mission. All right, cool.
Okay, but until then, we will find you tomorrow on Good Morning Football.
Yeah. Well, no. What's today? Saturday. Well, listen. You'll find me on Good Morning Football, on Extra, DraftKings. We're cooking up something special. I also am doing something with Bleacher Report and Progressive Insurance. Keep that quiet. Some really dope content for the draft. I'm talking about fire content. I have something popping with Fuel Up to Play 60 and the Dairy Initiative in the NFL. Some super dope content with them. I have this collaboration with the watch company you have to keep an eye out on.
Wait, hold on.
The Burleson brand clothing line is popping. Two more things. Scripts. I'm receiving some scripts to act, so you'll see me on your big screen soon. And then lastly, I'm about to launch a liquor, and this is the one. The liquor is going to be the one that's like, you're gonna be like, oh, okay. Oh, that's why they retired from everything. When the liquor pop, it's a wrap. So yeah, we're gonna go up 2021, 2022. You know what I'm saying? We taking it to another level.
That is so exciting, and there's so many things to look forward for.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Wow, overwhelmingly amount.
No doubt.
But until then, we will see you on our TVs. Thank you so much for joining me, and I appreciate your time.
Of course. Great job, Emily. I appreciate you. I'm digging the nails too. What's that blue? Is that like electric blue? Okay. Ooh, okay, girl. Oh, snap. Okay, I see you. Oh, hey, you be killing them. I see you. And you got the Puma swag. I just received some Pumas from J. Cole, so I'm on the Puma gang right now.
We can collab. We will do a photo shoot.
I'm with it, man. I got some people over at Puma that took care of me.
Awesome. It's so glad to hear. All right, Nate, we'll talk soon.
All right.